Hello there. So welcome to my first tutorial. This is a step-by-step tutorial to create a picture that I've called Blue Fire. It comprises just photos and videos from the beginning to the end, and all you need to do is follow along to create the picture. And what I'm going to be doing is explaining over the top what you actually do with your brain, so how you practice mindful drawing. And I would suggest that you watch this through perhaps once and then go back to the start if you're going to actually draw this picture. Follow the steps through and press pause so that you can work on the sections of your drawing and you don't have my voice to distract you over the top. I've also got to say a few things up front about this video. It's my first tutorial. It's really rough. There's no other way to say that. The editing skills are just almost non-existent. All the instructions are there, and that's what matters. But the polish, the bells, the whistles, the editing, the smoothness, the professional aspect, it's not there. And I promise I'm going to work on this. This is something that I'm going to be doing a lot of in the future. So I'm going to get a lot better at this. And I'm looking forward to learning. But for now, just please forgive the rawness of this tutorial. I also intended my first tutorial to be quite short, to be quite simple, and it just turned out the opposite. It didn't turn out that way. It turned into quite a monster, I have to say. It's quite in-depth. It's one that you may not want to begin with. It's one that you may want to save till a later date and start with something easier. But it goes for around 25 minutes, and that's just the tutorial. To actually draw Blue Fire, it's going to take days and days. Like, I'm taking a guess here. I think it might have taken me about 20 hours. But what this is it's 20 hours of meditative practice. Okay, so let's get started. I've already written down the materials that you'll need, what kind of paper, what kind of pens. You don't have to use the same colors. You don't have to use the same type of pens. You don't have to use the same patterns. It's entirely up to you whether you want to follow this tutorial exactly or if you want to just use it as a guide. Entirely up to you. The important thing is what I'm going to teach you to do with your brain. Sit down, take a few deep breaths and begin drawing. So start at the start. I'm going to run through the principles here, which I will suggest to you over and over and over until you learn to mindfully draw on your own and you don't need my instructions anymore. So one of the most important things is that you put your full focus into what you're drawing. And every time that your mind wanders into thoughts and emotions, acknowledge it and see it, and then gently just bring your awareness and your attention and your concentration right back to what you're drawing, whether that's a circle or a line or you're coloring something in. Do it with your full attention. And in the beginning, you're going to need to bring your mind back over and over and over. And that's fine. That's perfectly normal. On busy and hectic days, you actually might need to do it more. On relaxed and slow days, you might need to do it less. But what will be happening is over time, you're actually training your brain to focus and concentrate. It will improve. You'll get better at it. So no impatience at your own mind, no judgments, just see it for what it is. The mind is a busy, busy bee. And whenever your mind wanders into thoughts or emotions, just gently acknowledge it. Don't get huffy. Don't get annoyed. Don't hastily push them away, but see the thoughts, acknowledge them, and bring your attention right back to what you're drawing. What we also do here is we draw slowly. So we draw carefully and we go slow and we get into the flow. Now, what this means is you'll find that when you sit down, especially if you're having a really busy day or you've just taken some time out from a really busy headspace, that when you sit down and you begin to do something slower, like mindful drawing, your mind will still be anchored in the busyness where it just was. So your mind actually it'll want to hurry, it'll want to rush. And you may be conscious of this or you may not, but you'll catch yourself doing it time and time and time again, that you're going to see yourself drawing fast. And there's nothing wrong with this, but in mindful drawing, we go slow so that we sync with the flow. So this is another principle where you may have to remind yourself 50 times in one session. You'll catch yourself speeding up. You'll see your mind want to go fast and to hurry. And the mantra, the principle, go slow, get into the flow, will come back to you and you'll slow down. And again, this is retraining your brain to recognize that when you sit down for your mindful drawing practice, you draw by going slow. And what this does within 5 or 10 minutes is your brain will actually entrain. It will sync with the new pace of how you are drawing. So your brain will actually start to slow down and sync with the pace of your drawing. And this is where relaxation will kick in a few notches. You'll unwind, your breathing will start to slow down, your mind will start to slow down, and you'll begin to find a rhythm. You'll begin to get in the flow of your mindful drawing. Some days this is easier than others. Some days you don't get it at all. Some days you sync with it really, really quickly. Every day is different, and no one day is better than the next. As you continue drawing, something else that's really, really important, and if you're human, you'll probably struggle with this lesson to begin with. Do your best and let go of the rest. And this is another thing during a mindful drawing session, which may come up 50 times, it may come up 3 times, and it usually comes up for me when I kind of like get all huffy at myself, like, ugh, because I've done this circle, this tiny little circle because I've been going too fast. That looks blobby, or it looks like I don't know, it just doesn't resemble a circle. Or even worse than that, I can actually slip up and draw something which some people might refer to as a mistake. I don't call them mistakes, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. You just turn it into something different. But the important thing is to, at every moment, do your best. That's it. And then once it's done, let go of the rest. Let it go. This teaches you acceptance. It teaches you to let go of something that is actually already being done. You can't take it back. This is one of those principles that also applies out there in the real world. You'll take it out there once this seed has become implanted into your subconscious mind, and it will go with you everywhere at all times. I'm very repetitive with these 4 principles because they're really important. So just do your best. That's it. And then once it's done, acceptance, let it go, let go of the rest. And at every second, you can begin to do your best again. Your best will change from moment to moment, from day to day, and you might forget it every couple of minutes. You might revert back to going really, really fast and get really, really sloppy. But then the mantra of go slow, get into the flow, and do your best and let go of the rest will come back. Even if you have to do this 50 times, that is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. And what you're doing again is you're retraining your brain, and you're also planting subconscious seeds to go slow, get into the flow, and to do your best and let go of the rest. When you get into some flow spaces, so they're generally when you're working on a repetitive pattern and you will just sink and fall into a comfortable space during this pattern because your conscious mind, because it's repetitive, can take a little bit of a back seat. So you just relax a little and you fall into a zone. These zones change all the time. Again, if it goes into thought, you bring your awareness back to what you're drawing. Sometimes it goes into awareness, which is not conscious thought. Awareness is just having a knowing of something, and that's okay. We sit with awareness. Awareness is fine as long as you're not doing monkey mind thought chatter. You know, what you need to buy from the shops later, what you're going to cook for dinner, why isn't that person calling you back, what do you need to do for work tomorrow, all of that kind of monkey mind thought chatter. When that's going on, then you bring it back to focus on what you're drawing. But if it is a smooth flow space of drawing repetitive patterns and awareness comes and sits with you, let it. If it's something that you're not comfortable with, bring your attention and your mind and your focus back to what you're drawing again and concentrate on the crispness of the colour, the straightness of the line, the curve of the circle. Every time I'm drawing circles, I always think a perfect circle. And they're all perfect because I'm putting my all into that circle. I often get lost in, especially with felt pens on some really nice thick card, the colour, the vividness of the red or the vividness of the blue, especially after using one colour for a long period of time and then I switch to another colour, watching it saturate into the paper, like really being present with the colour. It's beautiful, it's really vivid, and you can focus on what you're drawing to so many different, intricate, deep degrees. And they generally get deeper and you become more present with what you are drawing, the slower that you go and the more awareness that you have on what you're drawing. When you're having some flow moments, just some really comfortable in the zone moments, I'm going to teach you something again that I'm going to plant into your subconscious over and over and over and over and over. Something that took me maybe months to actually recognize, but it's something which is enormously beneficial and it's something that I'm going to bring your awareness to at the very beginning. When you're in the flow space, when you're in the zone and you're just drawing, just having an awareness of what you're creating, like the act of creating. As you're drawing a circle or a line or whatever you're drawing on blank paper, watching yourself bring something into being from absolutely nothing. Watching yourself create layer by layer from nothing but a blank piece of paper. You're creating something from your mind and your will. And the more that you see yourself do this, and the more that you sit in awareness of the act of creation, which you will see yourself do over and over and over again, the layers of how powerful creation actually is become so much deeper. It becomes magic sometimes. And this is not necessarily something that you need to do in the first few pictures. It will come, and it will come naturally. You don't want to force it. But when you are in the zone, like I said, just as you're drawing, just see that you're creating something from nothing. And what this actually does is, because your thoughts and programs are not ticking over because you're not allowing them to in this practice, and because you're creating And because you're focusing on what you're drawing in the present moment, not in the past, you're not looking into the future where thoughts and worries often go. You're right here in the present moment, having an awareness that you're creating, being really proud of yourself for drawing a really straight line or a really good circle, or being proud of yourself because you drew a blobby looking circle and you remembered, do your best and let go of the rest. Like, learn to say it's done. And it is so liberating. And this brings up little bursts of joy, pride, especially awareness that you're creating and watching yourself bring something into life from absolutely nothing. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. The power in mindful drawing is actually in its process. It's not in what it looks like. And to be honest, I really, really like people's expressions of unique individuality and imagination and expression, as long as it comes from their heart and it comes from a place of themselves. It doesn't matter to me what it looks like. I find that so beautiful, so beautiful. So having an awareness of what you're creating will actually bring up little bursts of joy, wonder, the feeling of magic, because that's what it actually is. You're creating something from nothing. That's magic. That's creation. And just even the fact that your programs and thoughts are not ticking over, these little hints of your true nature will start to come through these cracks, and they will feel like little bursts of gratitude, little bursts of life force. It doesn't matter if it doesn't happen on your first drawing or even your third drawing. If you repeatedly practice retraining your brain and putting the brakes on your thoughts and programs, what is underneath that, which is your true nature, will come to the surface. The fourth principle is to use your intuition. So don't use your mind so much when you are creating. If you want to draw a blue line or a blue circle over there, you don't overthink it. I'm going to teach you to actually do it. Follow your intuition and do it. Now, this principle actually doesn't apply so much to the tutorials because I am showing you what to do. And like I said earlier, you can follow these tutorials to the letter. You can follow them exactly, in which case there won't be much room for your own creativity, your own intuitive nudges to put a circle or a line or use a different color. But I'm encouraging you to actually do that even with these tutorials. So if you feel like drawing something different, whether it's a small different thing or something quite significant, make a huge change, I recommend doing it. Just do it. With blue fire as well, this picture, I like it. It's great. It's great. But there are the blocks. See, towards the left and towards the right, they are, I'm just trying to think what colour they are because I don't have it in front of me, but they are the square blocks that look like Tetris blocks, and they're filled with little tiny circles. To be honest, these were too repetitive for my liking. There's too much repetition, and when there's too much repetition going on and not enough concentration required, in other words, it's too easy. I'm not going to speak for everyone here, but it may be the same for you. I can get quite bored quite easily, which means there's not enough challenge for me going on. And that happens, like I said, with too much repetition and not enough challenge. So I would actually recommend putting a different pattern in some of these blocks. You can look at some of my own pictures and just zoom in on any section and pick one of 10,000 different patterns to whack into some of those blocks instead of the same repetitive large circles, small circles that are going on. That's entirely up to you. So that's really it. I'm going to run through them again, just simply. So as you're drawing, your full attention into what you are drawing, full concentration. When your mind wanders into thoughts or emotions, gently acknowledge it and bring it right back to focus on what you are drawing, right now into the present. Don't force, just be easy, be gentle. No huffing. I'll tell you something about the mind. If you get all huffy and push these thoughts away, the mind doesn't actually like that. And that's repressing. That's pushing it away, and the mind will become persistent and the thoughts may become more invasive. So just be gentle. We want to acknowledge all parts of ourselves. Acknowledge, bring your attention right back, because I'll tell you something else. When your full focus is on what you are drawing, full focus, there's actually no room for your monkey mind to be worrying about what happened yesterday or what you're going to be doing later tonight. The two can't exist in the same space. So bring your full attention back to what you were drawing, and also go slow and sync with the flow. Just go slow, especially when you're hurrying up and you're speeding up. These words will pop into your mind, maybe not during this first tutorial, but they will within time, because I'm going to plant these seeds into your subconscious. Go slow and get into the flow. This is how you access the flow states. Also, do your best at every moment. Just do the best that you can. And that's it. Let go of the rest. Once it's done, it's done. If it's a big doozy of a mistake, I'm going to talk about this more in future tutorials, but you can turn that into something else. Turn it into something different. Take it in a direction it wasn't intended to go. I don't like calling them mistakes at all. They're just new paths that are opening up to you. So go down those paths, use it, and do your best. Let go of the rest. It becomes extremely liberating to say this, but it just feels damn good to be able to do it. Just once it's done, it's done. But what you can do is, again, do your best at the next moment. Keep realigning with your best and let go of the rest. And also, again, the principle that doesn't really apply so much in the tutorials, but it can if you're going to do your own thing. Intuition. If intuition says, take this line over there, draw a squiggly line instead of a straight line, use thick black instead of fine liner blue, draw a triangle instead of a circle. If you feel like doing that, do it. Just do it. Don't overthink with the mind. Intuition is the feeling center, which is telling you something cool is down that path. And I'm not going to go into how we put too much focus on our thoughts and our mind and not enough onto our intuition. That's a different subject altogether. But what we do around here is we follow our intuition. We don't overthink it or talk ourselves out of it with our mind, saying that's going to look silly, that's going to look stupid. Don't do that. Just observe the mind, recognize the mind, because the mind, it likes to rationalize things. It likes to know where things are going to end. Intuition doesn't. But what you'll do here as well is, with mindful drawing, this seed will become firmly planted into your subconscious, and your intuition will gradually become a stronger and stronger part of your life, and you will begin to take it out into your real world, away from your mindful drawing practice. And I'm telling you now, it will become your best friend. And lastly, just when you're in a really sweet flow space, just drawing, just have an awareness. Don't force it, but if it pops into your mind, and it will sooner or later, because again, I'm going to plant these subconscious seeds that took me quite a while to plant in my own subconscious. And because I know how powerful they are, I'm trying to teach you from the beginning, from the very beginning. And just having an awareness as you're creating, just watching yourself create, watching yourself draw a line where there was nothing before. Draw a picture, draw a section where there was absolutely nothing but a blank piece of paper. Watching yourself create something from nothing but your intention and your action. That's it. And it literally is like magic. And most of all, have fun, relax, have fun. I mentioned earlier, and I'll just say it one more time, every session, every day is going to be different from the previous one. Some days you might get some real benefits out of your sessions. Other days you might feel like you've stalled a little. And that's okay. Every session is different and they all build onto each other. They all become far more layered and far more powerful, and they go deeper. They become more profound. And the beauty of them is that they're not carbon copies of each other. Your awareness and your consciousness and you accessing benefits is going to be different and every single day. And what happens over time, as it happens with any consistent practice, is you get better at it. Your consciousness expands. You're able to see much more in that same process than you could 6 months ago or 2 months ago. It deepens and it becomes far more profound. And I hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions, please do let me know and I will attempt to address them. That's it. Thank you.